Yo, what is up guys? This is B. Burson Ricto here, and today I thought I'd do a video on the new Speed Champions Summer 2021 sets. Personally, I'm just really excited for these. I've been somewhat of a fan of Speed Champions, so from an investing standpoint, but also too, I do consider myself sort of a little bit of a car enthusiast. Nothing too crazy, but again, I do know quite a bit about cars, and I do enjoy that sort of as another hobby of mine. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get into some of these sets here, guys, and basically give my thoughts on them, what I like about them, and mostly sort of talk around the aspect of collectability. I think that's really the main driver when it comes to Speed Champions post-retirement performance. So let's just go ahead and get into it, guys. So first off, we have the new Koenigsegg Jesko, and to be honest, this car I would say is their new hypercar. If you guys are familiar with Koenigsegg, I mean they just make some really crazy limited production cars, what you would kind of consider more sort of halo cars or something along those lines. It's really they're building hypercars to really build up their brand, and very expensive. And based on this, I was sort of curious, what it takes for companies to essentially get their cars made into a Lego set. And I did a bit of research, and I came across a very interesting article that I think explained it pretty well. I'll go ahead and sort of quote this from you guys here. Basically says, in short, cars for Lego sets are chosen based on the automaker's willingness to collaborate, how the car's recognizability will translate into brick form, if buyers will feel inspired by the building process, and enjoy owning the finished product. Okay, so it seems like they have people in their Lego department that are going to be going out to car manufacturers, asking about their willingness to maybe have a partnership and license their brand name in order to make a few Lego sets. And my guess is that car manufacturers have a pretty significant ability to say which cars they like to be made into sets, whether that be their newest car, or I would say most often sort of their halo production car, which is a car that isn't necessarily used to make a profit in sale from them at like dealerships. It's mostly in an effort to increase their brand, increase their marketing. They're going to get a lot of free advertising if they produce this really crazy hyper car. So that would be sort of my guess is why Koenigsegg is so interested in this, is that a lot of people, there's only going to be a couple people that are going to really experience a Koenigsegg vehicle by owning it, but through Speed Champions, they can have that experience, have that sort of connection to the brand, and that's why we've seen some of these in the past as well. So again, just a little bit of background and context sort of going into these sets, I think is pretty interesting, especially with this wave, personally, in my opinion. But anyway, I think this is a good set. Personally, not one of my favorites in the waves. I'm just not a huge fan of Koenigsegg. But again, I think this is a fine Speed Champion set, and again, I think it is overall a good set, just maybe not my favorite in this wave. Okay, next up, I'm just going to go ahead and right to my favorite here. We have the Ford GT Heritage Edition and the Bronco R. This, in my opinion, is just going to be a fantastic set. Personally, I really like the updated box art a little bit too on this one. It looks really good, but essentially what I want to talk about here is the importance of the color scheme that they choose on the cars that are made in Speed Champions, right? So obviously the most important thing is what silhouette they're choosing, what car they're choosing. But next up, I think, and sometimes even more important, is the color or sort of paint scheme they're going for here, and whether or not it has some sort of significance into the history of the vehicle, of the company. And in my opinion, that adds so much to the collectability of these sets. And for them to go ahead and make the Heritage Edition of the Ford GT, in my opinion, was just a fantastic idea. Obviously, this is modeled off the newer Ford GT, but I think the Heritage Edition, obviously, it goes back to the roots of Ford racing. Definitely is going to connect people back to the 2006 Ford GT, and even again back when they were actually competing as a racing team. So I think from that aspect, this was a perfect color choice. I will say, from that, a little aside there, is that the colors are a little bit off, but again, I think it gets across that point. It still has that collectability, in my opinion, and for that reason, with the Ford GT Heritage Edition in this set, I think this is just off the charts as far as collectability goes. And I think in general, I think Ford enthusiasts are going to be very pleased and happy to add this to their collection. And again, the Bronco are a nice add-in, but in my opinion, really a sort of second thought in this set, if I had to guess. But the Bronco has been very popular, I'd say, sort of on social media, things like that. So it's only probably going to add to the collectability of the set as well. Okay, moving on, we're going to go ahead and get into my second favorite set here in the wave. It's the Chevy Corvette C8.R Race Car and then the 1968 Chevrolet Corvette. So in my opinion, I think we've needed this for a little while. We've needed a classic Corvette in Speed Champions form. And to me, this was probably one of the best model choices they could have done. Very iconic, and I think people in general, even if they're not car enthusiasts, are going to see that and automatically recognize it as a Corvette. And I think one of the things, again, with this set here is the color scheme they chose. In my opinion, when people think of a sports car, when people think of especially Corvette, they think of sort of a dark red metallic color. I feel like that's just really sort of the flagship color of a Corvette for a long time now, at least when I think about it. So we're going to go ahead and get into number 3 here. And personally for this one, this is the Mopar Dodge. We're going to get a Top Fuel Dragster and also a 1970 Dodge Challenger. Now for me personally, it looks like at least from the box art, it just feels like the sort of focus of this set is on the dragster vehicle. And I just don't have any interest in that personally. I know that they've, obviously that's part of their history, but for me, it just doesn't really strike a chord with me. And again, the Dodge Challenger is cool, but for me, it feels more of an afterthought in this set. So I'm a little bit more skeptical about this. I'm just not as excited as the other ones. Again, I think it's a fine set, but for me personally, I'm not interested in the dragster at all. And to buy this set just for the smaller Dodge Challenger at $50 just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And I feel like maybe from a collectability standpoint, a lot of people are going to feel that way. And not to say that that's just going to translate into post-retirement performance, because maybe a lot of people miss out on this set because of that. But again, that's sort of my initial thoughts on this set, at least from a, would I want to buy this set and what are we looking at here, price point, what you get. For me, it just feels like the dragster is the main sort of focus here. I'm not really interested in that, and it doesn't justify spending. I can't justify spending $50 just to get this little Dodge Challenger that looks okay. Okay, next up we're going to be talking about the Toyota GR Supra. So I think in general, the Supra is a very popular car, obviously from Fast and the Furious in the was it 99 late 90s there. And this is a new updated one that came out a couple years ago that really hasn't, I think, gotten the best reviews from what I've seen. I do think a lot of people still like it because of the Supra badging, and I think there's still a lot of enthusiasts who desire to have a Supra. Personally, I wish they chose to go with maybe 2 Supras in this set, the modern one, which they have here, and then obviously the 1999 one would be pretty sweet to have both of those. But I think just with the modern one, it seems more of a marketing ploy, a little bit more than we're trying to get into the collectability scene of it, and it just doesn't seem like it as much as a sort of nod to a historical vehicle as some of the other ones that they're paired with, which just seems a little bit weird. But again, it's a great car. I do like the box art on this a lot too for some reason. Okay, now we have the McLaren Elva. This one for me, I'm not really a huge fan of the Elva. It looks just kind of bonkers, but again, this is sort of one of their. I mean, McLaren just releases so many cars that are like super limited or a special edition of basically the same sort of I don't know what you call it, like drivetrain as one of their vehicles they have out, just different body style. It looks crazy, and this is another one of those cars with like basically no windshield. It's just open everywhere. Again, looks crazy, but it just for me just does not translate that well into Speed Champions form. It just looks like it's like missing a windshield, and if you don't know this car specifically, I just feel like it's not going to be one that someone's going to pick up. And again, I think this is more of a from a perspective of partnering with McLaren and licensing this car to make into a Lego set. I think it's more of a, hey, we can get some good sort of advertising to our brand. This is a crazy looking car built in Lego, and I think that'll be decently successful because of that. But personally, for me, out of this wave, I'm a little bit less excited for this one than the others. Kind of along with the Dodge Charger and the Koenigsegg Jesko. So again, guys, that basically covers all of the new Speed Champion sets. I would say, in short, I'm really excited about the Ford GT Heritage Edition and Bronco R set. I like the Corvette set. And again, I think if there was sort of a middle ground, I put the Supra there, and the others I would say are just pretty much lower on my list. But again, overall, I think it's a good wave here, and I'm excited that LEGO's putting a lot of resources, it looks like, into Speed Champions in the future of that as well. Alright guys, this is B-Bricks signing off. Thanks guys.